Lynn and I drove from La Grande over to Mountain Home on the freeway before turning south through Duck Valley and on to Elko, Nevada. We hopped on I-80 heading east to Halleck, Nevada, the exit to drive through Secret Pass to the Ruby Valley. Lynn said that the Union Pacific Big Boy engine was leaving Wells, Nevada, headed west, and would be passing through Halleck on its way to Elko in about 45 minutes, so we pulled over and watched the Big Boy engine roll past. I flew the drone and Lynn took stills and recorded audio on her iPhone. Lynn had discovered a hot spring that is open to the public just outside of Ruby Lake National Wildlife Refuge, and so we headed there. Stopping for the train delayed us so that we drove in on a very rutted road after dark, but we found a nice flat area to camp and had the place to ourselves. We spent most of the day there. I hiked and found lots of phlox and paintbrush in bloom. We both took advantage of the hot springs. There were several pools and the largest was deep enough that I couldn't touch the bottom. We drove through the refuge and spent the night at the Forest Service campground just outside the refuge. The next morning, after touring the refuge, we headed south to Ely. We fueled up in Ely before heading east. We dispersed camp just outside of the Great Basin National Park. We then drove to a trilobite quarry just outside of Delta, Utah. We had passed by the quarry several years ago, but as it's a 20-mile drive on gravel road, we did not stop. But now, the new van has a built-in air compressor, so we just air down the tires and the gravel road isn't too bad. We were the first customers at the quarry, and so the guy running it gave us a lot of personal attention. We found plenty of trilobites, which we hauled back to La Grande. The whole thing?
And then I'm gonna crack that one.
That one's already broken.
Huh?
There's one right there.
Sure enough.
Well, right where I'm pointing.
Huh?
Where I'm pointing.
I know, but I found this one popped out. Look.
Cool.
Where do you see now?
Right there.
Right here?
No, over to the left.
Oh, right here. Yeah. Okay.
Turn this off.
What are you doing, Keith?
Breaking rocks for the Great Highway.
Finding anything?
Making big rocks into small rocks.
Is that all you're doing? What's Whoa! Nice one, Keith. Nice one.
Airing the tires back up after 40 miles of gravel road. We drove on into Delta before heading north to Fish Springs National Wildlife Refuge. Fish Springs is just south of the Great Salt Lake Desert and is very remote. There was a sign-in book that indicated that the previous visitor had been there 2 days before us. We saw lots of birds, including bitterns, avocets, pelicans, egrets, etc. We spent the night just outside of the refuge at a Pony Express marker. We again toured the refuge at first light before heading east on the Pony Express route. We saw a sign for a geode quarry, and so we had to check it out. It was a fairly rough four-wheel drive road to get back there, but we brought out several handfuls of beautiful geodes. "180 miles on the odometer, averaging 19 miles an hour. Gravel roads are tough." We spent the night at a BLM campground at Sampson Springs, another Pony Express stop. The next morning we headed on up to Bear Lake, where we camped at a Forest Service campground. There is a wildlife refuge at Bear Lake, but the next morning we decided to skip it and go on to Grays Lake National Wildlife Refuge. Lynn got a great photo of a dancing sandhill crane at Grays Lake, and we saw both golden and bald eagles there. We drove on up north, skimming western Wyoming before turning west at Henry's Fork to Red Rock Lakes National Wildlife Refuge. Red Rock Lakes has two campgrounds, and we had the place pretty much to ourselves. There were antelope everywhere and lots of birds, including trumpeter swans, great blue herons, bald eagles, lots of ducks and coots, etc. We spent 2 nights there before heading north to Big Fork to visit Lynn's dad Pete and his wife Susan for a day, and then on to Kalispell to visit Lynn's sister Lisa and her husband Lee. We drove home over Lolo Pass and then the Rattlesnake Grade. Great trip.